Today I'm going to be teaching you how to do that paper transition effect. Basically where your image freeze frames, it gets covered in paint, scratched up, and then it cuts to another clip. I'm gonna be walking you through how to do that in real life. So walking you from A to Z on how to print out the image. Then I'm gonna take you back into the editing side of things to show you how to line it up in different ways that you can use this. I've been using stop animation to make a lot of Cinepacks and things like that. So I've definitely came up with some tips and tricks along the way. We actually did just drop a pack with Suzymadeit if you guys haven't seen, and it's whiteout effects using these types of techniques, so you don't have to do what I'm about to show you, and you can just do all that in post. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money because we all know that using your printer these days with ink cost is expensive. So this works in all types of editors, Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve. You could probably even do this on a mobile editor. I'm gonna be using Adobe Premiere today, but it works in all types of editors. First, let's dive into the history of this effect. So the history of this effect. I definitely saw this effect start popping up when Lone Wolf came onto the scene. He would do a lot of craft type effects. He would use newspaper, he would use a lot of stop animation. He would cover his images in paint, Sharpie, crayon, all sorts of stuff, and that became a very popular style. From there, a lot of other people branched out, made it their own style, and added their own twist to it. One of those people being Suzymadeit, who we collabed with. His style has these really scary demonic faces, the whiteout splatter, and I feel like he definitely just perfected that effect. If you go watch any of his videos, the transitions and the edits are very clean. Not everyone can do this effect. It takes more than just being able to do this. You have to know when the right time to do the effect is. It's definitely a skill within itself. What we're going to be doing to do this effect is stop animation, which taking a series of photos to make an animation. So we're going to draw one line, take a picture, make the line a little bit longer, take a picture, and then when you play it back at 24 frames per second, it grows like that. I'm going to grab a screenshot and I'm going to go ahead and print that. So I'm gonna play my clip right here so you see, and I wanna find a good clear frame. So that's one thing when shooting a video is sometimes if you have a low shutter and you're moving the camera fast, it's gonna be hard to find screenshots because you're gonna get motion blur. Either crank your shutter up or just find a nice place where the artist was a little bit more still. Usually if you're filming 60 frames per second or higher, it's gonna be a lot easier to find some good stills. So you can see the camera's kind of wiggly right here and then it freezes right here. And he's in focus right there, looks nice and good. So I'm actually going to come down to here. I'm gonna click add frame hold just so we have this edit right here. So here we go, there's my freeze frame. And then what we wanna do is we actually wanna hit this right here and we're gonna take that as a JPEG and we'll name it, I would probably just name this 001 and then I would put it in a folder named stop animation in this project. So to actually print this, you can just use Google Docs, Photoshop, whatever, any word processing document thing like that. I'm just gonna drag it in here just like this. Places where you can print. You can either print at home and use your printer. My printer doesn't look the best. You can get cheap prints from Office Depot, Staples, FedEx, Kinko's, anywhere like that. If you're doing it that way, I would definitely print out all the frames you need and not drive back and forth multiple times. So we're gonna wanna flip this image and we would have it pretty much fill up the frame like that. Let's say you were doing multiple though, I would probably put multiple images. I think you could at least fit 2 just like this. That doesn't look too bad to me. I would space them out. So that way, if these were 2 different frames, like let's say that was a different frame, you could do your animations on one, and then on the next frame, you could do your animations on the other. So I think that's a good size. So I'm going to go ahead and just, so we have our simple print like this. And you're gonna need a workstation, somewhere that you can get messy. I'd even recommend, I may even just get like a little cutting board to put down, or you can get those little craft sheet things with the graphs on them so you can make cuts on them. To do this effect, you're gonna want a bunch of art supplies. You kind of gotta go back to being a 3rd grader where you had your pencil box with markers, whiteout. You're gonna want all that. You're gonna want as many tools at your disposal, but you should be able to get away with a lot of household objects. I have like a box cutter here. Sharpies are good. Some crayons, lots of whiteout. You can use paint. I'd also recommend one of these, a little X-Acto knife. So I have my basic tripod just right here. You can also just like stack a bunch of books up and lay your phone out over it. You just need your phone in a stable place. So tape your phone down. Your phone cannot move. Do not move your phone. Do not move this picture. You don't want anything moving because it's gonna cost you more time in post. Then you're gonna need some type of consistent lighting. I have my Aperture 120D right here. I could even get away with just these lights up here. Or you can get a lamp and throw a white t-shirt over it, and then it's gonna be nice and diffused. You can even get one of these from Home Depot, just put a bulb in it and you could easily just clamp that somewhere. That's a simple clamp light, pretty cheap. So typically I rig up my camera overhead and I use that for stop animation, but I actually just got this app, Stop Motion Studio, on my phone, and it's actually really solid, easy to use, and really convenient. So today I'm actually gonna use that to teach you guys how to do this. So the app's free. There is a paid upgrade. It's a one-time paid upgrade. I think it's like $6 if you wanna get it. I think it's definitely worth it. It includes 4K, so you get that full quality. You wanna hit new movie right here and then just tap into the image and then you're all set. One thing you wanna make sure to change is to change this. You wanna change out of auto into manual, and you wanna manually set your exposure and focus. You do not want anything to change. I accidentally did this on the first take, and you can see how it came out pretty weird. It was very wonky. It does not look good, so you want a consistent manual look. Put it on manual or you're gonna regret it. Tried out a bunch of different apps for you guys. This one was the most solid. If you guys enjoy this video so far, make sure to subscribe and drop a like down below. That helped me out a lot. Put a lot of work into this video. I pretty much have the setup here. So what I have is I just have a black piece of construction paper. And then what you wanna make sure is you wanna make sure it doesn't move. So I pretty much have it gaff taped, because when you're scratching it and messing up the image, you don't want your image to move at all. Then so I have my phone on a tripod and I just have a phone holder mount. And then I'm using the app on my phone. I'm gonna start taking a picture every time I do a slight adjustment. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with whiteout. Shake up your whiteout. So I set the timer on because when I tap my phone, it shakes the screen a little bit too much because I'm zoomed in. So I set the timer for about 10 seconds. So I have 10 seconds in between each frame to do something. So I'm gonna go ahead and start the timer. I'm gonna get my paint open. And first we're gonna trace his body. So I'm gonna start the timer. And there it goes. I'm gonna put a little piece of dab right there. Wait for the photo to take about 10 seconds or so. There's the first photo. Here comes the second one. And we're gonna trace up his body. Let the second photo take. There's the second photo. Here comes the third. And we're just painting up his body like that. And then we make sure to move our hand out of the way. And we're just gonna repeat this process all the way up and around his body. Comes the fourth photo. So if you accidentally do get your hand in the photo, just take another photo of the clean image and then you're gonna be able to remove that. So let that go. So once I outline his whole body, I'm gonna switch over to a crayon and I'm gonna scribble in his whole face red. So I'm gonna grab this crayon right here. So now I'm gonna just draw a little red in the middle. I'll let that photo take, and then we're just gonna start getting bigger with it. And let the photo take. So I probably could do like 7 seconds next time, but this isn't that bad. And we'll let that go. And we're just gonna start scribbling the red a lot more. Really get in there. Cool, like I said, you can really get creative with this and do anything that you really want. You could use the Sharpie. So we're pretty much done with that. We can get the X-Acto knife out if we wanna cut him out or add something. So we'll let it take a photo. I'm gonna hop in and maybe I will just scratch up the edges here. Let it take a photo. Maybe we'll scratch up his face even though it's covered. The scratches don't look too good. Maybe I'll just do a little whiteout splatter. So I'll open up the whiteout, Got a little bit of time. We'll do one little splatter. We'll do a big one. Here we go. One more. Look at that. And let's do one more after this. We'll do a big paint spill. Let the photo take. There we go. And that looks cool. Then we'll let that photo take, and then let's see what happens. So I'll stop it. Okay, once you're done, you're gonna have all your photos in here. And one cool thing that I like about this app is you can actually just go through and you can delete any of the photos that you don't like. So let's say your hand was in one of them, like I said before, you can delete all the frames with your hand beforehand and you don't have to do it in post later. So that's really nice. So what we wanna do before exporting is we wanna come over to settings. I'm gonna select 4K because I paid for it, but you can do HD if you want. And then we wanna go over to here. And I set my speed to 24 frames per second, which will make it really fast. But for this effect, you want it to be really fast. And then, so you can play it through, you can preview it. So let's see, playing, looks solid. Last thing I would probably do is I would just come back out here and then you just hold your finger down on it and you click export movie. I'm gonna airdrop this to myself and go edit. So we have our animation clip here. I'm gonna go ahead and drag it where the freeze frame happens. And then I'm going to rotate it and I'm gonna scale it up. So this first one does not look as good because I did not have manual settings on. So you'll see what happens if you don't have manual settings. And then I'll actually re-edit the intro of the video. On the intro of the video where I scratched up my face, that one actually did have manual settings and it looks a lot better. So you'll see the difference. So what we wanna do is we wanna bring down the opacity so we have the freeze frame right here. And we wanna do our best to kind of just, grabbing the wrong one, we wanna line these up basically as closely as you can. Obviously it's not gonna be perfect and that's okay. So let's see where we're looking, like right there. So that's just a slight move, it's not the worst. And then what I definitely, so let's play that. It's not the worst. And then what I would do is I would probably add a frame hold. So I go add frame hold on the very last frame. And then I would drag that out just so we have that. So let's go ahead and play that. Boom. So you can kind of see it's like really grainy and flickery. That's definitely because we're on automatic. And also I zoomed my lens in a little bit on the iPhone. So I think when you zoom in on the iPhone, it just gets worse. So just leave the lens on one, leave it all the way and just get as close to your picture without making a shadow. So some other things, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna nest this and then first I would add a little bit of color. And then, so I just add a little bit of color, make it look a little more solid. And then the classic is to just add that beautiful Kenneth Burns. And we will zoom in. So let's type in, I don't know, 135. And then you pick where you want to go. Boom. And then you get all that. And then what I would also add is I would add an adjustment layer. And I would add just like a little flash in there. So I would go to effects and then I would come over and I would type in maybe just levels, I think. And then brighten it, do like a flash as soon as we come into it, then return. So it would go something like that. That works. And then sometimes what I like to do, if you guys have this, I like to use Sapphire and I like to use Shake. So I would throw on a shake here at the end. I have a preset that I like to use and then basically I would put that to maybe like 0.2 maybe the whole time. And then at the very end, let's get it rocking up to like, I don't know, like maybe 2. Let's get it real crazy. Just at the last frame or 2. So let me render that out. So here it is right here. You can see the little bit of shake and then it does like a really crazy shake at the end. You can totally just zoom in and add motion blur at the end or use transform with motion blur. Sapphire Shake's a lot easier though. This actually doesn't look as bad. If you watch the one that I did at the beginning of the video, that one was with manual settings, and it does look a little bit cleaner. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think about this, and if you have any questions down below. That's pretty much the whole process, and then you would just repeat this. So you could do transitions into other clips. You could get really creative. I just want to show you the basics, give you the tools that you need, and then you guys go off and get creative. Don't try and recreate everything that you see online. Try and create something unique, different. Try and bring in some different elements. I don't know, buy a magazine, rip it up, throw in some pieces of that. Really make it your own, get creative, have fun.